welcome. Johnny and I have decamped to the top of the Golden Tower, the Mandalay Bay here in Vegas. And I guess Elvis has finally left the building.
Yes, the king has left the building, but we've replaced him with the king of boxing chat.
Yeah, PAULIE MALINAGHI, two-weight champion, is with us, and we can't wait for this 50-50 fight between Bradley and Marquez.
This is a perfect 50-50 fight, youth against experience. Great to be here fight week, isn't it, Paulie?
Oh, Johnny, always. Nothing like a fight week in Las Vegas. You know, the buzz is in the air, people get excited, you can hear the tension, the excitement, the fighters are ready, they have that look of seriousness, but yet they're excited to get in the ring and put on a show. Nothing explains it, man. You just got to be here. You've
got news for us yourself. You're in between training and working with other guy. You've also got some good news. You're training yourself.
Yeah. Well, you know, I wasn't sure if I'd be back in the ring, but they've dragged me and they've pushed me along and they've got me back. I'm fighting Zab Judah on December 7th in New York, so I'm excited about that. It's a turf war for Brooklyn.
Big shout.
Another good match, isn't it?
Yeah, a good match and for bragging rights, really. You know, this fight's been talked about for so long that, you know, two top Brooklyn fighters. We've both been around each other's weight class, but now we finally got a chance to see who the best one was the whole time.
And we've got this really good match ahead on Saturday night at the Thomas and Mack Center. The return of the Mexican icon Juan Manuel Marquez as he tackles unbeaten Timothy Bradley.
Timothy Bradley defends his WBO crown against Mexican legend Juan Manuel Marquez in a clash of two Manny Pacquiao conquerors.
He's the legend in the sport, the living legend in the sport. Of course, everybody's going to show him a lot of respect. And what he did to Manny Pacquiao has definitely risen his credibility.
Timothy Bradley is a great fighter. Timothy Bradley is on the freer fighter. He's a champion. This is a great motivation for me. I'm ready for the fight. I'm training very hard.
I can see ways that Bradley wins the fight, ways that Juan Manuel wins the fight. This is a really, really tough fight to call.
Both men triumphed over the Filipino superstar, albeit in very different circumstances.
The last fight with Pacquiao was a great victory for me, was a great victory for my country.
The backlash after the controversy decision, you know, sucked. Yeah, it did. It really did suck, you know, because I didn't get any credit for that victory. So I'm banking on this fight to get the credit that I feel I deserved in my career.
Marquez, a professional for over 2 decades, is a senior man by 10 years, but continues to defy his 40 years of age, replacing his counter-punching style with a more aggressive approach.
Physically and mentally, I feel great. I have 40, but I like training like 25, 26. I feel great.
The two protagonists appeared with their teams at a press conference in Los Angeles on Monday. Marquez was flanked by longtime mentor Nacho Berenstein, while his opponent will have father Timothy Bradley Sr. in the corner alongside trainer Joel Diaz.
Don't go to the refrigerator. Don't leave the couch. It's going to be on and pop.
Bradley burst onto the scene in 2008, shocking Junior Witter in Nottingham to capture the WBC strap.
He put the work in, and I told him this ain't going to come easy. This man, he ain't been beaten in eight years.
So when I went over to England, I had no doubt in my mind that I wasn't going to leave without that belt.
Fresh from his controversial Pacquiao triumph, the American endured a torrid 12 rounds at the hands of Ruslan Provodnikov, but is confident there will be no lingering effects.
I feel 110%. I feel like I could take a punch. I sparred Matisse first day coming back. You know, he's a big puncher, and he wasn't able to daze me.
Bradley will aim to send Marquez into retirement. Although there's no doubt to do so, he'll have to defeat one of Mexico's greatest ever fighters.
After this fight, he's going to retire. You know, his family's not going to want him to fight anymore, and he'll have nothing else to prove after this loss.
He wants to say everything outside the ring. If he wants to say retire me, he wants to prove next Saturday.
So two of the real elite fighters in modern boxing, and fans are in for a treat.
And they're going to get the money's worth no matter what. This is a mouth-watering fight, youth against experience.
Yeah, you know, you have the athleticism of Bradley against the pressure of Marquez. It's a clash of styles, and it's one that always makes for exciting fights.
Yeah, real stylistical mix, and the atmosphere all week in Vegas has been great, hasn't there? Real buzz. Marquez was mobbed, wasn't he, at the Grand Arrivals?
Well, that's the thing about Las Vegas. Nothing like a fight week atmosphere in Las Vegas for a big fight. You know, when it's a big fight like this, you can feel the tension in the air, the excitement is in the air. Fans are talking about the fight. Fans have their gloves and their notepads out ready to run into any kind of fighter that they can run into. It's really a big excitement about a big fight. So, you know, we saw the grand arrival, Marquez getting mobbed. You know, it's hard to describe unless you're here. I think everyone needs to at least experience one big Vegas fight week to really be able to describe it and feel the emotion.
And Bradley's tried to come in slide under the radar. It's been pretty calm about it.
Yeah, it's been pretty calm. You know, obviously less mob than Marquez, less Mexican fans here, more Mexican fans here in Las Vegas, and also, you know, I think he's trying to keep himself away from the distractions. You know, the fight week, it comes with its share of distractions. We saw him with the headphones at the press conference.
And what did you read into that?
You know, I've just felt like he's been through this so many times. He's been through the press conferences so many times. He's been through the fight week, a big fight week, so many times. And it's like, all right, I'm doing it because I have to do it, but I really want to fight. So I'm just going to go into my own little zone and keep my focus. Obviously, we're at the press conference. I'm going to enjoy the press conference, but I don't really want to be here as much as I'd rather be in the ring fighting this guy. But I have to wait till Saturday to do that. So I'm going to keep him in my zone with keeping my music on.
You can sense the confidence from the Marquez team in that press conference as well, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could. You know, and this is a veteran. You gotta understand, this is a veteran who's won many big fights. He's been a part of many big fights. Won many big fights, and he's coming off of what is probably the biggest win of his career. So the confidence, I feel, is justified. You know, he's coming in with that kind of confidence, a bit of a chip on his shoulder to say, hey, listen, I might be 40 years old, but I'm fighting like I'm 25.
He laid the ghost to rest, didn't he? The sort of 4 fights with Pacquiao, and finally the shot that got it right.
And that's the thing. Out of all the fights between Pacquiao and Marquez, be it Pacquiao got the decision, or be it the one draw they had in the first fight, you always sensed that Marquez could have got all the decisions. You always felt like incomplete after one of those fights, where it's like, man, I still can't tell who's better. I still can't tell who's, you know, we have to see it again, and we have to see it again, and we have to see it again. Well, a one-punch knockout will put the exclamation point down. It'll tell you, hey, listen, Marquez set the stamp down. You know what I mean? He knocked him out with one shot and proved once and for all that he was the undisputed winner of that particular fight.
But for Bradley, he changed tactics against Provodnikov and really put quite a show on.
And that's the thing about the change of tactics. Yeah, exactly. You know, it was a Fight of the Year candidate, so from one perspective, it's a positive thing. But I think it's more positive for the fans and people like us who will want to see an exciting fight. But in the other aspect that you look at it, was it that smart to fight Provodnikov in that way? Maybe Provodnikov didn't have as big of a name as a Pacquiao, and he's probably telling himself, I beat Manny Pacquiao, I'm going to blow right through this guy, and I'm going to prove to everyone that, you know what, I deserve that Pacquiao decision, and I'm much better than everyone. It's, you know, the other man across the ring wants it just as bad as you.
Can he afford to do that against Marquez?
That's the thing. You probably can't, because Marquez is strong. Provodnikov is strong. Marquez is strong. Marquez is a bit more intelligent. He's a bit more ring savvy. He's a bit more experienced. He'll lay the traps for you if you do that, and you wind up on your behind real fast. So I think Bradley would probably best be suited to go back to the athletic style of boxing that he's been doing for a lot of his career.
And stylistically, this could be a wonderful mix, couldn't it? I mean, Marquez maybe countering the skills, but at 40s, he's still got the legs. So much in this.
Yeah, so many question marks, and you know, but it's exciting. That's what makes it exciting. You know, you can't really tell how it's going to go or which way it's going to go, or even which style each guy's going to fight, because we've seen Bradley and Marquez both box or put pressure, or box or brawl even at different times in their careers. So, you know, we'll see what kind of approach they take on Saturday night.
Absolutely, an enticing main event, and there's some pretty spicy action as well that we predict on the undercard as Andy Scott reports and brings us up to speed.
Orlando's Toledo and Orlando Cruz ignite the age-old Mexico v Puerto Rico rivalry as they contest the vacant WBO featherweight title.
Yeah, it's very significant because, you know, they've always had this history of Mexico versus Puerto Rico has always been a big rivalry.
It's the typical Puerto Rican and Mexican fighting, you know, the big fighting. And I am very happy for the opportunity for Bikini, the world champion.
I've beaten every Puerto Rican that stepped in front of me, but I plan on coming out victorious Saturday.
Toledo gets an immediate chance to regain the title he lost to Mikey Garcia after his fellow Mexican failed to make the weight in their January clash, one that ended in an 8th round stoppage.
Definitely it hurt, you know, losing the world title to begin with is pain in itself, but then in the manner in which I lost.
The veteran turned professional at just 15 and was matched hard in his early years, but after losing 3 of his first 7, is looking to become a 3-time champion of the world.
Winning a world title would be everything to me. Again, it would lead to a lot of opportunities, especially a lot of money opportunities with big purses.
Cruz hit the headlines for speaking openly about his private life, but is keen to be recognised for his success between the ropes.
I'm free. I'm happy. I am comfortable, I am very nice right now. Very happy. I don't talk with my relation right now. I am talk for, my preparation, my fight, important. So I'm separate my relation, I am focused right now on my fight.
The Puerto Rican finally gets his first shot at a world title belt in a career that is yet to spark into life.
It's a long time, very long time for the opportunity. I am ready. It's my dream. It's my time. It's my moment.
Much of the attention will be directed towards Vasyl Lomachenko, who jumped straight into 10 rounds on his professional debut following a stellar amateur career.
Boxing is my life, boxing is my profession. I know it's going to be a lot of tension. I think I'm ready and think I'm going to show the best.
In over 300 bouts, the Ukrainian has tasted defeat only once and enters the paid ranks of the 2-time Olympic champion.
Now after I reach everything possible in my amateur career, I want to try to do something in the professional.
With talk of world titles in only his second fight, the southpaw must first conquer Jose Ramirez, a comparative veteran of 28 fights and with ambitions of his own.
I feel that all the pressure is coming down on me because of all the swallow up on him. I'm going to prove everybody wrong in Las Vegas.
What an intriguing featherweight clash. It's Mexico against Puerto Rico. They're never dull, are they, Paulie?
Nah, you never get a dull moment with those kind of rivalries. And especially on this weekend, with all the Mexican fans being in town for the Marquez fight, I think it may give Salido an extra boost that he's getting to fight this kind of rivalry fight in front of his own people.
Have you been around Salido in the early days?
Yeah, it's funny. A quick story about Orlando Salido. I was in the gym. I remember just turned pro, and I was sparring with Virgilio Tor at the time. He had just started making his comeback. He was coming back to boxing, and he had a win or two on his comeback. And Virgilio used to use me as a sparring partner. I was learning a lot from Virgilio. I really admired him, And we fought on a card together right after 9/11 had happened. It was a benefit card with it. A lot of it was donated to the foundations for the 9/11 charities. And we had like regular opponents. It was my 3rd or 4th pro fight, and it was Virgilio's 2nd or 3rd comeback fight. So the regular opponent they happened to get for Virgilio Tor was Orlando Salido. He handed it to Virgilio. I remember he knocked him down and everything.
Wow.
I could not believe it. It made Virgilio stop his comeback. I don't think Virgilio fought again after that, because he probably started thinking, if I can't beat an 11-7 guy, then I shouldn't be coming back.
So it's been a roller coaster for Salido.
And in the end, Salido wound up being dangerous, and that's the
Yeah.
point. Salido ends up coming back, causing more up. Said it himself. Also, he's got a pedigree. People may focus on that, but in reality, this is a boxer. He's got a fighter's pedigree. He was a teammate of Miguel Cotto on the 2000 Olympics, Puerto Rican Olympic team that competed in Sydney, Australia. A bit of an underachiever as a pro, taking 1 or 2 losses that probably he could have gone without. He probably could have won those fights, but this is his opportunity to really get to the top of the mountain, so to speak. Cruz has shown deficiencies at times. Like I said, he underachieved. But if there's ever a chance for Orlando Cruz to win a world title, this is it. And not because Orlando Salido's soft, because we've already said, he's far from that. But Orlando Salido looked a bit shot to me in his fight with Mikey Garcia about 6 months ago when he lost the WBO featherweight title. So the fact that Garcia's gone up in weight, the title's vacant, I think, now, and this is why they're fighting for the WBO featherweight title. I think if Salido has maybe lost a few steps, it's Cruz's chance to enter here and get his world title. I think if Cruz is going to win a world title, this is the opportunity. This is his best chance.
Also the entrance of Vasyl Lomachenko, the wonderful amateur double Olympic gold medalist, and he's in a 10-rounder. I mean, This is incredible, isn't it?
This is unprecedented, guys. I mean, I personally have never seen it. I mean, I remember the hype around Oscar De La Hoya when he turned pro, and he turned pro in a 6-rounder here in the United States. And this guy's coming in not only a 10-rounder, but a 10-rounder against a pretty solid guy.
He demanded it for his first fight, didn't he?
So, it makes you wonder, does this guy know what he's getting himself into? There's a big difference between pro boxing and amateur boxing, but, it's strange. I expect this guy Jose Ramirez to try to be physical with Lomachenko, because in the amateurs he can't be quite as physical as he can in the pros. If I'm Jose Ramirez who's going to fight Lomachenko, I'd welcome Lomachenko to the pros by being extra physical, and the clinch is extra physical, maybe a little bit dirty, you know, because Lomachenko is obviously a super talent. So boxing-wise, he's probably going to be better than Ramirez, and Ramirez, if he's smart, probably knows that regardless. But it's the pro game that Lomachenko is new to. Let's see if Ramirez tries any extra tactics or any extracurricular activities.
Thanks for now, Paulie. After the break, we have an exclusive with a fighter who claims that he's as fast as lightning, and he's also living the Vegas dream.
After the break, we catch up with a man who's lightning quick.
And I'm going to tell you why you need to watch this fight. One, I told you, never, ever, ever bet against Tim Bradley. That's number one. Number two, I'm ready to take out Marquez with any means necessary. You can go back, watch the Ruslan Provodnikov fight now. If you want to doubt me, I'm telling you, don't doubt me.
Good guy, Timothy Bradley. Been nice being around him this week, and he enjoyed those trips to the UK, didn't he?
Yes, even if he did beat my mate Junior Witter back in 2008 in Nottingham. Sad night for us, though.
It was for you, and he also beat Darren Barker way back in the amateurs. Barker, who's got a big date of his own coming up, defending his world title in Stuttgart on December the 7th. For news of that and everything else, here's Ed Robinson.
Vladimir Klitschko is still the premier heavyweight on the planet after beating Alexander Povetkin on points in an untidy clash in Russia at the weekend. But he didn't impress everyone.
It was kind of disappointing, you know, sitting back as a heavyweight champion, seeing that type of performance. I felt that Klitschko could have been a lot better. You know, he could have did a lot more. He was throwing the right hand sparingly. When you knock a guy down 3 times and even 6 times Povetkin was on the ground, take him out. You know, we don't want to see the referee come in and stop the fight. We want to see that shock value of you imposing your will on the guy and knocking him out.
Despite some reports, the former champion is happy in retirement, content to support a new era.
The heavyweight division is so bad at the moment that the thought of Lennox coming back, you know, sends a frisson of excitement through the sport. But I just hope it's not true anyway, because I would hate to see Lennox come back at 48 years ago.
The future looks golden for London 2012 star Anthony Joshua, who made his long-anticipated professional debut at the O2 on Saturday night. The 23-year-old heavyweight pleased the fans by demolishing the Italian Emanuele Leo in the first round.
That's what the boss is about. He's destroyed a very brave opponent, and he hasn't broken a sweat.
I think the key code this evening was for everyone, relax and enjoy what you're doing. Obviously training's gone to plan, and all I had to do was take what I do every day in the gym into the ring, which I did, and that's why I think I came out victorious in the first round.
Fellow GB Olympic star Luke Campbell also looked good, stopping Neil Hepper in the first round. Welsh star Lee Selby won the Lonsdale belt for keeps, outpointing the defiant Ryan Walsh at featherweight. And in the nominal main event, after a slow start, Barry Scott Quigg retained his WBA Super Bantamweight title with a rather frustrating draw against the unbeaten Cuban Yoandris Salinas. And now Quigg hopes to defend his belt on the big Manchester show that features Carl Froch against George Groves.
I'm gutted that I didn't get the win. I feel like I finished strong and I nearly had him out of there near the end. And like I said, I believe I won the fight, so that's why I do class myself now as world champion.
Another British world champion, middleweight Darren Barker, has come face to face with Felix Sturm ahead of their December clash.
He's a tough, experienced opponent, but he hasn't experienced Darren Barker yet. I'm buzzing to get in there, and I'm proud owner of that IBF title, and I can't wait to defend it.
Darren Barker is a great fighter. I showed that in the last fight, and I'm very excited. It will be a great fight, a fantastic atmosphere, and a sold-out arena. And I mean, it's for both of us. It's a special fight.
In Orlando, Florida, Miguel Cotto looked back to his best on Saturday night, crushing Delvin Rodriguez in 3, the Puerto Rican's first fight under new trainer Freddie Roach.
The key was this guy on my side, Freddie Roach. He trained me in the most smart way. He made me do everything perfect for this night.
Top lightweight contender Terence Crawford, the undefeated and highly regarded American, booked a mandatory shot against Ricky Burns, with a points win on that card. And the Scottish world champion returned to training this week after surgery on his broken jaw.
That is going to be a good fight if it does happen, but I think with the way the last fight went, I think Raimundo Beltran, he does deserve a rematch. I've been getting a lot of stick, especially on Facebook and Twitter. Off some people, M that knows me knows that wasn't the real me in there that night. It just so happened that happened so early on in the fight. I think there's unfinished business that obviously I need to take care of.
And finally, British super featherweight champion Stephen Smith has joined his younger brother Callum as a matchroom fighter.
British super featherweight champion, a great talent, someone I've watched and I'm very impressed with, and the Gary Buckland. His next fight will be against Gary Sykes, planning that on the Froch versus Groves card, 23rd in Manchester. We'll sit down and we'll plan out a path, but exciting times, and I think probably one more defence of the British and potentially European and hopefully a world title shot in 2014.
Plenty happening out there. We welcome back Paulie alongside Vegas resident and former world champion Wayne McCulloch. Great to see you.
Good to be here.
You're loving it out here, Wayne?
Yeah, I've been here just over 20 years. I came for 3 and I'm staying for 20.
And counting.
Life good.
Yeah, life's good. You know, my daughter was born here, so you know, Vegas is home to me now.
We remember when she was a baby, you know, at the Naz fight. And
yeah, don't call her a baby anymore. She's 15 years old. She's a woman. She doesn't like being called a baby.
Let's look back at some of the news that's been happening. Klitschko, of course, against Povetkin, keeps his title. Not a great fight, though, was it?
Klitschko was a good role model for boxing, good fighter, but that was terrible. It was, you know, he hurt Povetkin a few times. Should have finished the show. He didn't. You know, that's what he does. He pitter-patters with a left jab, moves around, and doesn't get the job done. I think he needs to be more exciting, step it up, and knock these guys out.
Back in the UK, Olympic gold medalist Anthony Joshua made his professional debut against Emanuele Leo. If I pronounce it right, you got
Leo, yeah. Well, you know,
knocked him out in the first round.
Much anticipated debut. You know, anytime you have an Olympic gold medalist, you always wonder how they're going to do in the pros. A first round knockout against an undefeated fighter. As limited as he may be, Emanuele Leo's record was still about 8-0, I think, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, it's a great way to turn pro, a first-round knockout over a guy like that. It only leaves you hungry for more, to see more.
Someone else who looked pretty good over the weekend was your old foe, Miguel Cotto. Wow, rolled back the years, didn't he?
Yeah. I think it's a good marriage, so to speak, between him and Freddie Roach. You know, I think the tandem worked out well. You saw him going to the body again. You saw the old aggressive Cotto. He looked hungry. What do you think, Wayne?
And he had the right opponent. Rodriguez was the type of guy he was going to be in the fight. He's a good ESPN fighter, and he came out and moved around, fought the wrong fight. Cotto went to the body, finished to the head, got the job done, and looked like the old Cotto, but different levels. You know, Cotto's a level above Rodriguez. And
we also saw a draw with Scott Quigg against Salinas. He kept the world title. He walked away.
Hey man, he kept the belt, but definitely left some questions up in the air. He started a little slow, picked it up late in the fight. You know, I remember seeing Quigg against Rendell Monroe and being impressed with him. You know, I was at the Hatzinchenko fight last year and I was impressed with him. But against Salinas, he left a little bit to be desired. We'll see if they make a rematch.
We'd quite like to see Carl Frampton against Quigg at some point. I bet you would.
Well, that's a fight. You know, I'm his hero, so I got to meet him last year, had coffee together, and great kid. And that fight should happen sooner rather than later, but neither paths are in different directions, different promoters now, and the television stations, everything. And it should happen. You know, Quigg's a good fighter. Frampton's I'm behind him 100%, and you know that fight should happen right now.
Now for another former super bantamweight champion, in fact multi-weight world champion in Nonito Donaire. Well, Andy Scott has been to visit his Vegas home.
Hey, Nonito, how you doing? Good. Thanks for having us round. Thanks for having us round. Show us the place. So Nonito, this is quite some place you've got here. How long have you lived in these surroundings?
About a year, but I had it a year before that, so you know, we just kind of putting a lot of things in there. You know, it's a big place, so a lot of things to do, you know. Yeah. At least my style, my way of things, you know.
There's an item in this room that caught my attention straight away as we walk through the door. If we head over in this direction, there, as you will see, is a grand piano sitting perfectly, unplayed. What is this all about? And can you give us a tinkle?
I don't really know how to play this thing, you know. There you go.
I don't think there's a future there. Life has obviously changed for you in recent months since you become a father. Has the priorities changed at all? Is this little lad, keeping you up at night?
In the beginning, but he's been good. He's been incredible. And he's a good boy. He's a good boy, but it definitely changed my life in every way.
He obviously takes after you as well, because we can see some of these pictures here. You were telling us he never had his hands down, so he's obviously got the textbook defence there that he got off his dad.
From the very beginning, only a couple weeks old there, and then over here, and then one of the final ones were here where he had his hand up. So
trying a lovely southpaw jab there.
Yeah. So, but let me show you guys inside. This is his room. Come on, buddy. It's kind of dark, but he's my little ninja monkey. As you can see, there's a lot of ninjas that are monkeys. He's a little ninja monkey. I sleep here sometimes when he sleeps there, right? Is that right?
Would you let him fight Nonito down the line if he chose his path as a boxer? Would you let him?
You know what? I've already set that up for him. So we got a few gloves right there, and his belt. He's a championship belt.
I'm told that water's 90 degrees in there, but
Let's go. No, but check it out. Now, actually, if you feel the water, it's really
I know I look But this isn't just your home, is it? This is the start of training camp as well. You're in action just a little over a month away, am I right?
Yeah, started training camp, and it's different now that I have my kid. I have my son, and I can't go anywhere else.
It's Vic Darchinyan in a rematch. Does that make a difference, the fact that you've beaten him before?
I'll try. I've learned from the past that to underestimate your opponent is a crucial mistake. So we're taking everything serious. We're taking everything. We're not looking at the previous fight.
If we were sitting on this very step this time last year, I'd be saying, you're on the verge of pound for pound superstardom. As it is, I'm going to be asking you about coming back from defeat because of the Rigondeaux fight. What went wrong that night?
I wasn't hungry enough, I think. But again, it just goes to show that no matter how great or what people expect of you, sometimes when your mind is not there, a person is really nothing with his ability. But not to take anything away from Rigondeaux. He boxed really well. They were well prepared for me.
Tell us about Manny Pacquiao and the Philippines. You're obviously known as the Filipino Flash. You grew up there until you were 9. What has Manny Pacquiao done for boxing in the Philippines, and how much of an inspirational figure is he?
He's done so much for the country. When I was trying to get signed by promoters and managers, they'd say, "I'm sorry, man, you're Filipino." I know from all the Filipinos I've had, they just can't break an egg. So meaning that you can't punch and you just don't have it, and Pacquiao showed them wrong and showed them that, we got a lot of talents, and he's helped tremendously in paving the way for a lot of Filipino fighters, including myself.
Have you seen anyone in Britain that takes your eye? I mean, for example, we've got Scott Quigg, who's now the WBA super bantamweight champion. You've got Carl Frampton, who has beaten Kiko Martinez, who obviously beat Jonathan Romero for your old belt. Have you heard of any of these guys?
I've heard about them, but I've never seen them fight yet. Because usually I'm just really the type of person to study or just look forward to the guy in front of me. I've never been, whoever they put. It doesn't matter to me. And if they say, oh, for Frampton or Quigg, if they go out there, if you want to go out there, I'll go out there. For me, a fight is a fight, and to fight a good fighter, it's what I'm here for.
Well, you're really kind that you've had us round your house. I mean, I did bring you a gift from the UK. We obviously can see that the Filipino Flash fight. If you could do us a favour and perhaps you could wear a Ringside shirt on the way to the ring next time.
All right, there we go. Sky Sports, definitely.
Seems such a nice guy, doesn't he? Nonito Donaire. He'll be ringside on Saturday night, as will so many people here in Vegas. Do you rate him a lot? Do you think he'll come back up to the very top, Wayne?
Definitely up there. His last fight, he was in the top 10 pound for pound.
Yeah.
When he comes to get the win, get the knockout, and I love the way he fought. But against Rigondeaux, it was a different type of fight. Rigondeaux's a special fighter. I think he's brilliant. TV station don't really like him, but I think he's a great fighter.
That was back in April. Do you think he mentally strong enough to just brush that off and move on?
Well, you would expect it from a fighter of Donaire's pedigree. You know, that not only is he multi-time world champion, this is also the reigning fighter of the year. You know, and I remember he received his fighter of the year award the week he fought Rigondeaux, and then, you know, had the disappointing performance against Rigondeaux. It's really all mental when you come back from a loss like this. You know, you have to believe in yourself. You have to eliminate the doubts about, hey, you know, I may have looked bad, but I can still do this, and I can still do this well. So it's really about how his mental approach. Maybe his moving out to Vegas has something to do with that.
Well, that's it. I was going to ask you, Wayne. His move to the desert. You know, what are the benefits of that? Is it the training here? Is it just being around the big fights? What is it?
Well, I came here for Eddie Fudge back in 1983, and it's good. The altitude here is about 3,000 feet high. There used to be a lot of gyms and good sparring, and I think that's why he's doing it. Plus, there's tax reasons as well. You know what I mean? But
it's good to settle in different places. He's got to feel comfortable, of course.
Well, sometimes, you know, you just need a bit of a change after a loss like that. Maybe you need a change of scenery. Maybe start over. You know, he just had a baby. Maybe he'll say, you know what, I need to change some things. Maybe I'll start over and refresh my mind with a new outlook.
So the move was prompted by the loss, you think?
I wouldn't say it was only the loss, but I'd say the loss had something to do with it, yeah.
Back in, we're here with Vic Darchinyan. It's a fight he should win, doesn't it?
It is, you know, when they fought each other the first time, Darchinyan was the guy to beat. He was the up-and-coming guy undefeated, and Darchinyan when he got knocked out. So, you know, this time, anything can happen. Darchinyan can punch. Both guys are up a few divisions, and I think it'll be an exciting fight again. Anything can happen. It'll be a knockout somewhere.
Well, we thank Nonito Donaire for letting us into his home. After the break, you can see how Johnny got on trying to get into the Mayweather gym. He had a few lessons from one of the fighting family members there.
46, man, you still have hair. You still have hair, man.
I want to say hello everybody in England, and I want to invite everybody to watch this fight because Bradley and me give another great fight.
Well, he's a real legend of the sport, isn't he? Juan Manuel Marquez. And I guess the question is, what has he got left at the age of 40? I've got a few veterans alongside me. Former world champion Johnny Nelson, former world champion Wayne McCullough, former world champion Paulie Malignaghi. But you're still going and enjoying an Indian summer to your career. I bet Paulie here wants to light up the Vegas trip one more time. It's what every fighter dreams of, isn't it?
Boys, don't listen. We're not that old. My dreams came true and I boxed here at Mandalay Bay. And you had a trip down memory lane with our boxing historian, Bob Mee.
Well, Bob, there's just something really special about Las Vegas when it comes to our sport, isn't there?
Yeah, there is. As we always say, it's the fight capital of the world. It's the place that boxers want to be, want to fight more than anywhere else in the world. And if you get your name up in lights on the strip behind us there, you know you've made it.
And Bob, one of the great characters in the 60s here was, of course, Sonny Liston.
Yeah, Sonny Liston was at home in and out of the ring in Las Vegas. It was his kind of town, I guess. And in the ring, we all remember those couple of brutal minutes when he knocked out Floyd Patterson at the convention centre not far from here in the first ever heavyweight title fight staged in the city. And he also met his mysterious end here and is buried here not far from the airport. I guess the planes going over don't give him too much peace even now, it could be said. And his plaque is as simple as perhaps it should have been. A man of very few words himself. And all it says is underneath the inscription, a man. And it was Caesars that saw Vegas hit its first real peak with Larry Holmes and the four kings of the 80s. Ray Leonard, Marvin Hagler, Roberto Duran and Thomas Hearns. Their battles will never be forgotten.
I loved Tommy Hearns as a kid, but what really got me gripped into boxing was what happened at Caesars Palace in the autumn of 1993 when the Fan Man came in the middle of the Bo Holyfield rematch. And I tell you what, that was the unpredictability of boxing. Fascinating. And we never quite knew what we were going to get with a certain Iron Mike Tyson, who, Bob, was synonymous with that huge building, the MGM Grand.
Yeah, he was. We saw the rise and rise again of Tyson here. Tyson Bruno, dramatic night, but not a lot shocks us in boxing. But what happened behind us there did shock us when he took a chunk out of Evander Holyfield's ear. Later we had a little bit lighter fan reaction with the multitude that followed Ricky Hatton here in his glory days. And, you know, they stopped the place from becoming too sleepy, didn't they?
The Golden Tower of Mandalay Bay, such a famous landmark on the Strip, isn't it?
Yeah, it's one of the great arenas of the modern era, isn't it, Adam? And well, I mean, we saw Lennox Lewis here regain the title, become champion for the third time when he knocked out Hasim Rahman there. And one of the greatest fights I've ever seen. Make that the greatest fight I've ever seen at ringside. Marco Antonio Barrera against Eric Morales, the first time.
Yeah, that was fantastic, and I was fortunate enough to commentate on another classic there between Diego Corrales and Jose Luis Castillo. Their first fight, unbelievable. And there's been some pretty good fights, haven't there, Bob, here over the last 20 years or so at the Thomas & Mack Centre.
Yeah, the best heavyweight fight I ever saw ringside was Riddick Bowe and Evander Holyfield, the first fight in 1992. And that was brilliant, absolutely wonderful to be at. And then late in the decade, of course, we saw Lennox Lewis finally unify the heavyweight championship against Holyfield.
I remember Oscar De La Hoya fighting Ike Corty here. De La Hoya brought the female fans in. I'll tell you what, there'll be plenty of Mexican fans descending upon the Thomas & Mack this weekend. And we hope that Bradley Marquez lives up to all these great fights we've seen over the years in Vegas.
Did you enjoy that?
Oh, it was absolutely brilliant, you know, sort of taking a trip around all the great hotels here, the mecca of Vegas. Fabulous stuff.
And you guys were involved in big fights here yourselves, especially you, Wayne.
Yeah, well, I fought here four times. My first fight was at the old Silver Nugget downtown, and my last fight was at the MGM. I fought at the Thomas Mack, fought at the Hard Rock. And my first live fight here was Riddick Bowe and Holyfield when the Fan Man came in.
Wow.
At Caesar's Palace.
Yeah.
That was awesome.
That was my one as well. It was unbelievable, that wasn't it? Incredible night.
Brilliant.
Take me back to the Silver Nugget. What was all that about?
Well, actually, my fight was actually broadcast back home on national TV, and it was my 14th fight, and just on my way up, and the atmosphere was a small arena, but good fight fans, and it was a great night of boxing, and I don't think they do them anymore. I think the small cards are done at the Orleans Hotel now. And
Paulie, you were involved with a scrap here with our own Ricky Hatton drinking it down dry. They were, the fans.
I heard they were, yeah. You know, I don't have quite as many fond memories as Wayne, but you know, mine's a bit more forgettable. But yeah, it was an incredible experience in a way, in that I remember the fight week being so crazy. You know, I remember walking into the MGM Grand and seeing my face everywhere on the blackjack tables, on the walls, and then I got a room key and it had my face on it with Hatton's face on it. So you know, that was really.
Did they give you a big suite?
They gave me a nice suite. They treated me good. You know, it was really, really cool from top to bottom until we actually got in the ring. So. The good experience ends there.
Timothy Bradley was saying at the press conference they gave him a great suite at the Wynn, better than the MGM.
That's what he said. No comment.
It is a bit daunting when you come down here, and it's just, everything's just so real. You live here now, so you've got to be used to it.
20 years here, and the Strip is not Vegas. You've got the outskirts, normal life, schools, parks, churches. Normal life does exist here. My daughter was born here. She's 15 years old, and there is normal life, but the Las Vegas Strip is not normal.
You're a New Yorker, so does it impress you like it does the rest of us tourists?
You know, I think anytime you come to Vegas and you've never been here, there's always that wow factor, you know, and then after a while you kind of get used to it. But like Wayne said, I mean, there's life outside the Strip. The Strip is more touristy. The Strip really reminds me of New York's Times Square, where it's not really a lot of native New Yorkers there. It's more for the tourists. And I think the Strip, if you take a walk down the Strip, or you hang out around the Strip, you'll see most people are from out of town and they're here on vacation or they're here seeing the city.
But it's got this really rich boxing history, hasn't it? What stood out to you sort of growing up, you know, heroes or fights that you remember from it?
My first experiences watching fights from Vegas that I remember thinking, like, well, what is Las Vegas? I remember Leonard versus Duran at the Mirage, Leonard Duran 3. And I remember Leonard versus Hearns 2, also in Vegas at the Caesar's Palace, I believe it was, or Caesar's. So those were my first like live watching them on television type of Vegas experiences, where you're just starting to wonder, wow, that's a pretty cool city, you know. I wonder what it's like.
For me, Caesar's Palace used to be the fight capital. I thought the outdoor arena was unbelievable. And when I took that away, I think boxing died a little bit in Vegas, and all the big fights have been there, and just to have that atmosphere of like 20,000 people or so, and outdoors is just sensational, and a lot of the greats fought there, and that's missed. And Vegas needs a big outdoor arena.
Well, now no trip to Vegas would be complete without a little trip to the Mayweather gym. Little Floyd, we found, was out of town, but Big Floyd certainly wasn't, and he wanted to teach this old champion one or two tricks, didn't he?
Show me a couple of combinations. I'll hit the hands. I might look cold, but I'm pretty fast.
Okay, I don't care how fast you is. Now, what I want you to do is hit my head. Hit my head.
We just play it.
Hit it. Hit my head.
One inch smaller, 1 inch.
My head. You fast. I thought you were fast. Where you at, man? 46, man. You slow as hell. You slow as hell, man. You slow as hell, man. Come on. I'll get one. Put your hands up, man. Put your hands up. Stop me from hitting your hands.
Show you how we do it.
No.
Show you how we do it,
I'm
bud.
putting my hands right here. As you see, I'm putting my hands right there. So I'm just showing you right now how it is. Hey, you can't. I wasn't talking to you first. Come on. You can do what you want to do. You can talk. You can say anything you want to say. Now you watch this right here. No. Your hand can't be going like that.
You did it to me.
I did it again.
One more time. You won't get this one.
Oh,
you won't get this one.
I got you.
Let him do it to you. Let's see how you do it.
All right.
He said he's going to get you back. You want to do it again?
Oh, you found it better. I can look at your hand right there and still touch it. When I get ready to touch it, I'm going to touch it. And I'm pulling my hand out of here. You got to see that. That's a little bit right there, so I'm going to hit it when I'm ready. Ain't nothing you can do about it. You see, I'm looking at your hand now?
No digging.
My go. I'm way faster than you.
Now, we all got excited in England. The rumours were that Floyd may be fighting Amir Khan sooner or later. Is it a possibility, do you think?
To be honest, man, Amir Khan don't deserve no shot with Floyd until he beats somebody. He ain't whooped nobody yet because... you know, that fight is the giving right there.
I quite enjoyed that.
I showed him. I was just playing with him. I showed him.
You still got the speed?
Yeah, but just pretending. I was trying to be
Speed kills,
slow.
doesn't
Yeah,
it?
speed kills. I was too fast for him, man. I was too fast for him.
But what did you read between the lines? The swirling rumours, Mayweather Khan in May.
Never out and out denied it. It's not what he said, it's what he didn't say. And you're boxing on December the 7th, so you'd probably know more than we do.
And that's the thing about the grumblings and the whispers in the world of boxing, you know. They eliminated that Alexander Khan main event, and they've since replaced it with myself against Zab Judah. So Amir Khan is off the December 7th card. Combine that with, again, the whispers and the grumblings in boxing, and, you know, you start to think a little bit.
What's Floyd Mayweather done for this Las Vegas strip, Wayne?
Well, the week of his last fight this whole strip was unbelievable. The fight was at the MGM. They had 10,000 people at the Mandalay Bay watching the closed circuit. You had more in the closed circuit than they had the fights. And the whole of Las Vegas, even in the outskirts, was Floyd Mayweather this, Floyd Mayweather that. And it just brought a buzz, and it brought probably $2 billion to the economy as well. So it's good for Vegas.
And if Amir Khan gets the fight, he's got to take it, hasn't he?
Yeah, well, say Khan's going to come to Vegas with all the British fans, hopefully. The last time he fought here was like 3,000 people, that was it. He didn't fill the arenas. But hopefully Mayweather's going to be the ticket seller. They're going to come to see Mayweather.
Let's hope it happens. Well, let's look at this weekend. Bradley Marquez, what's your take on the big scrap?
Yeah, it's interesting. You know, Bradley's a good boxer. His last two fights somewhat controversial. The Pacquiao fight and the last fight with Rushland. Marquez, I love Marquez. He got the last fight against Pacquiao. He got what he deserved. He got a big knockout. Probably the only way he could have won. But he's 40 years old, and the clock ticks. He may step into the ring and get old that night, or he may step in there and like he's 20 years old again.
Again, youth against experience. Where's your money?
I like Marquez. You know, Bradley's a great guy and a nice guy, but I think Marquez is a bit too strong for him.
Prediction, Paulie?
You know, I like both guys, man, but I lean towards Marquez too. I lean towards Marquez too. I don't know if Bradley can stay disciplined for 12 rounds and not let his heart get in the way. He's got great athletic ability, but he just seems to get in the trenches and fight a little bit too much for my liking. I think it's Marquez. I think that's a bad idea.
But could be Fight of the Year candidate. We hope so.
You always hope so when you come here.
Thanks, Wayne. Paulie will be joining us as we continue the build-up to the weekend. All the news on Sky Sports News and on the website as well at skysports.com. Then we're on air 1:30 on Sunday morning, the early hours, all the build-up. The world featherweight clash between the two Orlandos, and then Marquez and Bradley, the icing on the cake. We'll see you for two of the very best fighters in boxing today, and that's what this city of Vegas is so good at providing.
Excitement, entertainment, even when I lived the strip back in the day. Right? Kind of.
Timothy